Do not adjust your digital device. What you are about to see and hear may shock and appall you. Join our hosts as they encounter countless thrills, spills, chills, and hilarity as they explore the very weirdest in pop culture. The following media is so strange, so beyond the scope of what is normal, it will make you ask the question, why does this exist?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Why Does This Exist? I'm Chris.
And I'm Rob.
And today is a Festivus for the rest of us. But tomorrow will be Christmas. And, well, isn't that lovely?
Yeah.
We are not going to be talking about the Festivus.
Tomorrow's not Christmas.
Seinfeld.
Tomorrow's Christmas Eve.
Well, Christmas Eve, but Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, it's all Christmas. It's Christmas adjacent.
Well, regardless, today's Festivus.
Yes, it is.
And it's time for the Festivus airing of grievances. We got a lot of problems with you people, and now you're going to hear about it.
Exactly. We are not going to be doing we're not talking about the Festivus episode of Seinfeld for those of you who are getting your hopes up. So that is your airing of grievance. We've already done an episode on Seinfeld. Perhaps we could do an episode on Have we done a Festivus episode before? Maybe we have. So. I don't know.
I think we talked about it on the Seinfeld podcast.
I think you're right. But I don't remember. We've recently started having the issue where we're trying to brainstorm ideas for the next batch of episodes, and we've started running into ideas that we've already done. So we've had to go back to the drawing board quite a bit. Sometimes it'll happen on the show, but anyway, the question on your mind must be, well, if you're not doing the Festivus, what episode are you possibly doing? Well, and the answer to that, dear listener in digital media device land, who has not bothered to look at anything that has to do with this episode, maybe you're just in your car or wherever you are and you're not paying attention and you're not looking at it. Bully for you, sir, madam, or pronoun of choice. We are going to be doing the Grinch, not the Benedict Cumberbatch one, not the original cartoon, not the book, but we are doing the Jim Carrey Grinch from 2000, which it is the 25th anniversary of that film this year. I did not put that together until maybe a couple days ago. So I know you can't stand it. I know you planned it. I'm going to set straight this Watergate. So without further ado, you are now about to witness the true strength of street knowledge from a ragtag group of rogues, so let's get on with the goddamn show. Take this away.
How the Grinch Stole Christmas. A timeless classic.
It is possibly one of the best. It is definitely one of the best Christmas movies of all time. It is possibly the greatest. I think it can be up for debate and probably in the top 3 slot. And I think people can argue amongst that, Home Alone, and Die Hard, and possibly even the Santa Claus if you want to have like a big 4 of Christmas movies.
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Oh, that too, yeah.
A Christmas Story.
The Muppets Christmas Carol, which we just did.
There's a lot of good Christmas movies, I will say.
There are some wicked contenders out there.
But this one is, of course, based on I don't know if you could say this is based on the book or based on the cartoon that's based on the book. But obviously, for those who don't know, How the Grinch Stole Christmas was a Dr. Seuss book. And it was turned into a 1966 animated TV special, which I'm sure most of us have seen. If you grew up in the 90s, it was on freaking TV every Christmas. And then in the year 2000, it was picked up by director Ron Howard and to turn it into a live action movie and starring Jim Carrey, which was at the time kind of like people were like, oh, this is interesting. Like it was kind of like, out of left field, But it turns out that Jim Carrey was the absolute perfect person to play the Grinch. So
Well, there were some really interesting. Hi, I love you. The missus just got home. Um, there were some really interesting requirements for this movie to even get made. So
yeah.
Dr. Seuss constantly sold, was turning down offers to sell the right to his book, to all of his books, and his wife, his widow Audrey Geisel, when she was when she decided, okay, maybe we can license the movie rights out, she put down these really strict terms that Hollywood folks had to bow down to in order for them to even make the movie. So they had to pay 5 million up front for the licensing fee. They also needed to pay 4% of the box office gross, 50% of the merchandising revenue, 70% of book tie-in process profits, and music related income. In addition to that, any actor who was going to be considered for the role of the Grinch had to be a leading man. They had to be of a similar stature to Jack Nicholson, Eddie Murphy, Robin Williams, Adam Sandler, or Jim Carrey. So they had to be somebody who was just at the top of their game.
Interestingly enough, all of those actors were considered for the role of the Grinch alongside Jim Carrey.
That's right. But and the directors or writers that could work on it, they had to have previously earned at least 1 million on a previous project. Otherwise, you couldn't even make the movie.
Wow.
So, yeah. So they really just wanted the cream of the crop, Mean Gene, and nobody does it better than Jim Carrey.
I'm
But
surprised because,
really
like,
crazy how I'm surprised that Hollywood agreed to all of these terms, and I feel like, I mean, Audrey Geisel, hats off to her. What a freaking negotiator.
well, I'm surprised that did that like friggin' Cat in the Hat movie have the same level of scrutiny because that was not nearly as good as the Grinch.
It probably had the same level of scrutiny, but that doesn't but I don't know if well, just because you meet the criteria, that doesn't necessarily mean that the movie is going to be good. I think in this case it was amazing.
Huh.
But or at least this was really the film rights for live action. I don't know if there were any. I don't know if there were strict terms for animated features because Dr. Seuss was still alive when they made the Grinch cartoon because
Yeah.
he passed in 1991. So I think he was okay with animated works, but he had a very big no against live action work because he probably felt that you couldn't really do this in live action.
Yeah, I would say back in those days, it would have been really hard to do a live action Grinch. It would have been very campy and probably not very good.
Yeah, I think it would have been terrible if they had
Yeah.
tried back then.
Yeah, so early 2000s was definitely the best time for it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think in this one instance, they just happened to catch lightning in a bottle.
Yeah. So I mean, we could talk about the plot, but the plot, I mean, everybody knows the plot of the Grinch. If you haven't read the book or seen the movie, the basic gist of it is that the Grinch hates Christmas and he hates that the Who's down in Whoville, which is like a little town that's like right down at the foot of the mountain that he lives on. He hates that they love Christmas. So he comes up with this plan to steal Christmas. And he dresses up like Santa Claus, gets a sleigh, and he goes and he steals all the presents and decorations and whatever. And then as he is going to destroy all the presents, he hears the Who's start to sing and still celebrate Christmas, and then he realizes, oh, Christmas isn't about. It's really an anti-commercialism movie, or story, I would say, because
I
the
mean, the
Grinch
Grinch
really
is
hates the.
he's right though.
Yeah, well, he hates all the commercial aspects of Christmas, and like just buying presents and he even says that to some effect, where you know in this movie at least he's pretending to be Santa Claus, and Cindy Lou, who's like the little girl, whose role is actually greatly expanded in this one compared to the original.
They
Um,
I they I think it's better. I mean, we could keep talking about the plot, but I think it's best to focus on what they added,
well, yeah, that's what I
which
was gonna get to.
that's
I was
really
like,
that's
I was
really
just
what
gonna,
makes the movie so great.
yeah, the plot is, you know, obviously it follows the same plot as the book and the film, but they add so much to it. They give the Grinch a whole backstory. They make Cindy Lou like an actual like character that has like lines and dialogue with people instead of just like a, you know, one little tiny scene. You know, she's the second main character. Um, they add so much to it and flesh out the movie so much, or the story so much, you know, better than it was originally. And it really, you know, again, it drives home the point of like the Grinch hates Christmas because he misunderstands what Christmas is. He or you know, perhaps he's just blinded by, you know, the big commercial aspects of Christmas, doesn't realize, you know, what it's really about. And you know, he even goes as far to say that when, and Cindy Lou asks him like, uh she's like, you know, what's the meaning of Christmas, and he's like, the presents. You know, well, first he says revenge, and then he's like, oh, I mean the presents. um but you know, he really has this like fundamental misunderstanding, and that's what changes him when all the Who's come out to sing and still celebrate Christmas even though it's destroyed. uh you know, he realizes like, oh, wait a minute, like Christmas is not about just commercialism and big who has better light show or whatever. It's, you know, it's about coming together and peace on earth and all that. And I think the mayor, so in this movie it adds the mayor character, the mayor of Whoville, who's played by Jeffrey Tambor. um
It was very funny in everything he does.
yeah, he's brilliant in this, you know. He represents like all the bad aspects of Christmas, like the, you know, the commercialism and like the you know, oh, my house is better than your house. Like he is that embodied.
Yes.
And
I mean, even his license plate is like Mayor 1 or something like that.
yeah, yeah, he's like just a complete asshole, and like huge ego and whatever. And I think Cindy Lou in this represents like the real, you know, spirit of Christmas, because, you know, she's the one that she nominates the Grinch as the holiday cheermeister is what they call it. It's like, you know, the head of this like Christmas festival that they have on Christmas Eve. You know, she nominates the Grinch because, you know, she wants to include him in, you know, Christmas because he's a resident of, you know, I guess this town, even though he lives up on the mountain outside of town. Um, but you know, the Grinch, you know, and I think that also kind of is what helps the Grinch in the end, like realize what it's Christmas was really supposed to be, because Cindy Lou, no matter how mean he is, like always tries to like, you know, lend a hand of friendship out to him, and you know, it's like, so she's the real what Christmas is supposed to be, whereas the mayor character is what Christmas has become, this, you know, commercial, you know, bullshit that's all about just presents and buying things.
Right. And one of the makeup choices for Cindy Lou Who was that her hair, well, there were a couple of really interesting costume design choices between Cindy Lou and Max the dog.
Hmm.
So throughout the movie, Cindy Lou, when we first see her, her hair is all done up and everything, and as the movie progresses, her hair becomes gradually more relaxed as her character arc continues, and she ends up really seeing everything for what it is and really understanding the Grinch and just being a nonconformist to the Who life, basically. So they made three separate wigs, and the first wig was, the first one that we see. The second wig is it's a little bit messy, but it's still mostly kept together. And by the end, her hair is very relaxed in the third wig. So that's just really interesting to show her character arc of how she goes from being who they want her to be this image of what the Who's represent or what the Who's seem to represent, and then to becoming who she really is and really just being able to express herself fully. We also for Max the dog, his collar changes throughout the film. So in the beginning, and that's and the dog collar is actually symbolic of where the Grinch's emotional state is at the time and how his character arc is progressing. These all these very little subtle changes that nope that you'd never really think to notice, or you probably wouldn't have ever noticed it, but it's these really interesting subtle differences that they make that is, supposed to help tell the story psychologically in a way too, and you follow it. But his dog collar goes from being tarnished in the beginning to becoming brighter and a just looking brand spanking new by the end of the movie. So
Hmm.
it slowly gets less dull and brighter and becomes a nicer collar.
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
Yeah. Well, it kind of represents the Grinch's, you know, change too.
Right.
Which is what well, obviously more obvious. Uh, it's this movie really turns the Grinch into a more sympathetic character from the start, whereas the original, obviously, I don't think it ever really explains the Grinch's motivations for hating Christmas and the Who's in the
No,
book or in the cartoon.
there's a line that like one of the early lines when they introduced the Grinch in the Dr. Seuss book is just that where the narrator simply I forget the exact line, but it's but they ask why does he hate the Who's? Don't ask me. No one quite knows the reason.
Yeah. So this movie expounds on why he hates Christmas and the Who's, and it's because the Grinch basically is like an orphan, and he was this green kind
Oh,
of
here we
monster.
go. The line is the Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Um, he comes to Whoville in a basket, which all the babies do, I guess. All the baby Who's come in like these basket like parasol things. But the Grinch is different. He's green and has all this hair, and he's adopted by these two old ladies, and
Which
they basically raise him and
which
treat him.
as an adult watching this, I wonder if they were a lesbian couple. It's not implied that they could be, but
I thought they were supposed to
it
be
doesn't
sisters
say.
or something.
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't. They could be sisters. They could be a lesbian couple. I guess it's
Oh,
open to
maybe.
interpretation
Yeah.
because they never specify anything. So I guess it's whatever you'd like it to be. But when he shows up at the doorstep, this I never noticed. The missus caught this one. They're having a key party in Whoville, so all of the Who's are freaks. A key party for the unindoctrinated is a swinger thing. You take your hotel room keys and you put them in a bowl, and I don't know what happens next. Besides, I don't know what happens with the keys, or if you have to find your keys, or if you take a random key and whoever gets the other key is the person you have a great old time with,
Is that really
or
what's
what.
implied there? Because I always thought they were just putting their keys in the bowl because it was like they're all like getting fucking wasted and they're like not driving home
Oh,
drunk.
that could be it too. I don't know.
That's what I always like interpreted it as. It's
I
like they're
thought it.
like they're having like a fucking banger and getting wasted and they're like being
Well,
responsible.
they might be getting a banger in general. Oh yeah, here we go. Key party meeting. Let's ask the AI overview. A key party is a social event popular in swinging cultures where couples swap partners for the night by placing their house/car keys in a bowl and drawing them out randomly, assigning partners for sexual encounters. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I don't
So,
think that was what was implied here in
well,
this movie.
again, open to interpretation. If you saw a key party, you saw a key party. If you saw people being responsible adults, you saw people being responsible adults. That's so funny.
Yeah. Um
But anyway, So the Grinch is found, and he's raised by these two ladies,
And then
and
he, goes to school with all the other kids, and that's where he meets Martha May, who is, this girl that he has a crush on, and then she also has a crush on him secretly. Um but he like goes to great lengths to make this like glass Christmas tree ornament thing for her. And he makes it for her, and then all the other kids bully him because he's green and has all this hair. And uh the Augustus Mayhew, the mayor, like he's the one that's like the main bully of the Grinch when they were kids, and he buys him a, or tells him like, oh, she's not gonna like you, you're 8-year-olds and you have a beard or whatever, like just completely, as kids are, awful to each other. um but so that, that really, and then he tries to go shave himself and he gets all cut up obviously, and they all make fun of him and laugh at him. And Martha May is the only one that's like sad and isn't laughing at him. And but the Grinch doesn't see it, and he like smashes the thing and he runs out, and that's when he runs up the mountain, an outcast from the Who society basically.
he's an incredible junk artist. At that age, he was a prodigy.
Yeah. Well, it's implied from, that the Grinch has had this affinity for garbage since he was a child. That's another like weird thing about him, is because even like, when he's a baby, they show him like eating the, instead of a cookie, that he eats the plate that the cookie is on. So
Very interesting child, but he's also very intelligent too.
yes. So you really, and this like flashback happens quite early in the movie, so you really, you start to feel for the Grinch right away, like, oh shit, like he's not just being an asshole just to be an asshole's sake. Like he was treated horribly.
Yeah, this is all a result of trauma that's unresolved.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can't blame him for doing that. And I feel like anybody would probably feel the same way if they were if something like that happened to them, where they were
Yeah.
just kind of where they were outcasted as a child just for their appearance, and and also just like heavily bullied. I can totally understand why that would happen and how that would happen. The
Yeah.
interest So an interesting set design choice was Mount Crumpet. His cave is meant to it's meant to look like a bizarre heart chamber. So it's meant to resemble the chambers of the heart.
Oh,
And
that's
your
interesting.
subconscious, and throughout the movie, another subconscious thing is that because everything is shot in Dutch on purpose, it's shot at Dutch angle, so it's very surrealist, and and nothing is supposed to be symmetrical. That choice was made to capture the spirit of all Doctor Who stuff
Yeah.
because everything is like all over the place. There's no flat lines or anything or perfect angles. It's all like kind of wonky. So
Yeah.
they wanted to give you that surrealist look. But all of the chambers of Mount Crumpet and all of the different doorways or all the different like parts of the cave, it's all set to resemble a heart.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you're subconsciously watching the Grinch's you're seeing the world through the Grinch's heart in that way.
Mm-hmm.
So just really cool, subtle Easter egg choices that they made for a lot of things.
Yeah. So the besides the backstory of, the Grinch's childhood and the reasons why he's angry, we also get this whole plot point of Cindy Lou trying to include him in, you know, the festivities. Um so she goes up to the mountain and she like has no fear of him, which is, funny because everyone kind of fears the Grinch. Everyone in Whoville's like afraid of him. Like he's like a yeti basically on the mountain. So, but she's not afraid of him and she wants to include him, and she's the one that goes around to like all of these past people and talks to them and finds out about his past. And She even goes to like Martha May, who still loves the Grinch after all these years. She's still in love with him, even though she's engaged to the mayor, or she's dating the mayor. So she goes up to the mountain to invite him to this, and nominates him to be the holiday cheermeister, which is the like head of this festival that they have. And obviously he's like very against it and doesn't really, he's like, why, I haven't been shown my face down there and how X many years, and I'm not gonna do that. And he debates with himself. Some of these scenes with just the Grinch talking to himself in his cave are like the most hilarious. And again, you got to credit Jim Carrey. If it was anybody, Robin Williams probably could have done it good too. But Jim Carrey has like this like monologue with himself and the dog, just like going back and forth, is hilarious. Uh, debating on whether he wants to go, and he's like, well, I have, he's looking through his schedule, and it's like, wallow in self-loathing. I can't miss that again. you know
Yeah,
uh
his ad-libbing is just perfect.
it
I
really is. It's
there was a ton of things where they just kept it in, and for a lot of there's one segment where he was just going for 5 minutes, and they just kept whatever they just chopped it up and just threw it in places.
well, that's why I say that Robin Williams also would have been a good choice for that, because he was very good at ad-libbing like that too. Like that whole scene in Aladdin, where in the very beginning, where like the original one, obviously, um in the very beginning, where like the merchant is showing all these wares off and he's explaining it, that was Robin Williams just ad-libbing that whole thing. They basically like put him in the booth and were like, all right, Robin, we need you to be a salesman, just sell a bunch of random crap. And that's what he did. So I think the fact that he was considered for the role for this movie makes a lot of sense, and I'm surprised he ended up not getting it. I mean, Jim Carrey, like, I'm not gonna knock Jim Carrey, because Jim Carrey was the obvious choice also, but I think it would have been interesting to see what would have been with Robin Williams in the role.
Yeah, I agree. I know that they wanted Jack Nicholson badly, but I don't think that Jack Nicholson would have been. I don't think he would have been a good Grinch.
No, I
His
think he's a
performance
little
would have been
too
strange.
he's a little too angry. Like, he's not funny enough. He's a little too unhinged and angry. I think it would probably come off as like the Joker, basically.
Yeah, possibly. Or like, what's his name in The Departed? I don't know if we need that to be the Grinch. I think
Yeah,
Jim Carrey was the best
Costello.
possible. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I think Jim Carrey was the best possible choice.
yeah. Jim Carrey was definitely
And
the
Jim
best.
Carrey almost quit this role over the makeup, because
Really?
the makeup was actually insane. It's weird
Oh
because
yeah.
when we were watching this the other day, I I just turned to the missus, just looking at how incredible Jim Carrey's performance was, and I said, "Wow, he must have been having a blast in it, like doing this movie." Turns out not the case. Jim Carrey, the makeup process was so intense that he he would have these incredible outbursts, and he threatened to quit the production over how intense the process was, and because the makeup was so heavy and the process was so intense,
Yeah.
he felt he said that it felt like he was being buried alive, and he couldn't move, and he was being buried alive every day. Originally the first process took about 8.5 hours. The
Yeah.
makeup was put together by the legendary Rick Baker, who is
Really?
just
Oh, I didn't know that he worked on this movie.
yeah, he's done a ton of things. I mean,
Wow.
he currently has the record for the Academy Award um for best makeup. He has he's the record for winning the award, as well as nominations, which is 7 wins, 11 nominations. But Rick Baker is one of the best creature special effects artists that's ever done it.
Yeah. His most famous is probably the Werewolf from America, Werewolf in London, but he's done so much uh horror and other, not just horror, like like so many different movies.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Yeah.
So they had this big setup and everything, and Jim Carrey just he just could not deal with it. to the point where, I mean, one of the other makeup effects artists that worked on him, he he quit for a while and he had to be brought back in a couple of times, and he
Hmm.
needed months of therapy after this movie because Jim Carrey would just like he was just so unpleasant when they were putting this makeup on because it just really freaked him out.
Yeah.
They had to hire a Navy SEAL who was trained um, in trauma survival, and
Huh.
he had to work with him so that he could learn how to process and get through things. And he had to show him all these breathing techniques and all these things where so that Jim Carrey could physically handle getting the makeup on, because it would be about the first time they did it was about 8.5 hours to put it on, and then I don't like a few hours to take it off. So he's
Yeah.
probably in the chair for nearly 12 hours a day.
Well, and also
That's
you got to think
insane.
you got to do that for 8 hours, then go film for however many hours, and then go take the makeup off. Like it's probably a 20-hour day we're talking about.
Yeah, and then you're doing that for, however many days. It's got to take a toll on you. They
Yeah.
did eventually find ways to cut things down to about a 3.5 hour process, but still, that's a lot, man.
Yeah.
And to help to help Jim Carrey feel better about things, Ron Howard, the director, he had himself put a he had the makeup artist put on the Grinch makeup on him, and he showed up to set and directed the movie that day just so that he could empathize with
Yeah.
Jim Carrey and
Yeah,
make
I've
Jim
heard this
Carrey feel
story.
better about things.
Yeah.
So after that, that kind of helped that helped quite a bit and get things moving.
Yeah.
But it was a rough process to get this thing done.
Yeah. It's
Actually, that
to
was
do.
another thing that I wanted to point out was that when they were doing the makeup, originally the studio executives, who we have mentioned ad nauseum, are idiots. They did not like the idea of full makeup being applied to the star of the movie because they felt that no one would be able to recognize the actor if they had all this makeup on, and then the movie wouldn't do well, which is just idiotic. But to make them to kind of ease their concerns, Ron Howard put himself and I think his brother and maybe one and Rick Baker also in the Grinch makeup, and
Oh
he
wow.
took and they had photos of all of them and Jim Carrey doing the same pose, um, lined up in the same way, and it was the same height of what they gave them,
That's
and they
hilarious.
asked the executives if they could spot Jim Carrey, and they could. So once they did that,
Wow.
they were at ease.
Yeah. That's funny. That's an interesting story. Um oh, what was I going to say? Uh the fact also that Jim Carrey was able to do the role in all that makeup is very impressive because it's a very obviously Jim Carrey is like very much into like physical comedy and a lot of slapstick he does, and he brings that to the role as the Grinch. So the fact that he was able to do what was obviously a very physical role in all that makeup and for however many hours a day is very impressive.
Yes.
uh,
And the slapstick stuff was a choice that Ron Howard had given to the screenwriters too. He didn't tell he told them to write as though they were writing a cartoon.
yeah.
So, and he got different writers from various cartoons so that they could capture the cartoon spirit.
Yeah, and again, uh, Jim Carrey's ad-libbing in this is really, like, makes this movie. There are so many scenes that were, like, completely improvised. For example, the scene where he's trying to pick out what he's gonna wear, and he, like, pulls the tablecloth off to try to actually, like, um, see what a would look like with, like, the tablecloth as a dress or whatever, remember? Uh uh, Apparently when he ripped that tablecloth, it was all supposed to fall down, and it didn't. He actually ripped it successfully without actually knocking down all the whatever was on the table. So him like going and knocking down the whole thing, that was Jim Carrey improvising that.
But that's one of the best parts when someone's locked into the character like that.
Yes.
That they can go right in and just do things that, and it's not, you're not even making a real, it's not even making a choice of how would the character react to this. You're just doing it.
Yeah.
So it's just really impressive, all of all the different things that they made, and just all of the choices that they went. Like the costume was made of yak hair that was sewn to a spandex bodysuit and all this other stuff, and they did everything else. All the seamstresses put together hundreds of Grinch of Whoville of Who and Grinch sweaters and costumes within some quick days. Like I think 30 days they put together a few hundred. They just a phenomenal team on this. They used
Yeah.
some CGI for the Who's to add some Who's and to add some extra background stuff while they were shooting. But I mean, for the most part, this is just an incredible movie, and
Yeah.
they really like
It was
it.
definitely a lot
Really
of
was just
practical
such a
effects.
yes, and it was just such a labor of love, and really just a love letter to Dr. Seuss,
Yes. And the
and
set
just
design
done well.
is really good. It's a and you know, they really do a great job of making Whoville like look so cozy and like this is a Christmas town. Uh and then on to contrast, the Grinch's mountain is lonely and cold and scary looking. It's just it really sets the stage. Ron Howard did a really great job with this movie. And the set design and everything is just top notch, and really enhances the story of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. It makes you really immerse yourself in the world of Whoville, you know, and I think it really adds a lot of character to Dr. Seuss's original story. It really, like I said before, it fleshes out the story so well doing all
Yes,
this extra stuff.
and even the reactions are priceless from Jim Carrey. I mean, we
Yes.
talked about this as a joke last week of how when the when the Grinch's heart grows three sizes, that what it really is just basically a massive heart attack, and
Yeah.
And and then the Grinch just has a widowmaker, and basically then and the Who's are like, oh, it's Christmas spirit. No, not also not the case.
Yeah.
But so Jim Carrey's reaction to his heart growing three sizes that day is, yeah, he basically has a massive heart attack on the floor. Which, as I was watching it, I was like, yes, that's the right reaction to this.
Yeah.
They also really shelled out. Anthony Hopkins plays the narrator, and he recorded all of his lines in one day. I hadn't clocked him uh, as the narrator, but
Oh yeah.
very solid job.
It did a great job at you would never guess it was Anthony Hopkins.
He's delightful as the
Yeah.
narrator. He's another
Um
one who you can't go wrong with. He's
no, he's
excellent in everything.
yeah.
Perhaps one day we'll do Silence of the Lambs, but he's awesome in every movie. I actually really like him in the Red movies.
Actually, I saw an interesting thing about Anthony Hopkins. Um he has been public about that he's on the spectrum, and he said that it actually kind of helped him get into roles because because of his you know diagnosis. He couldn't, it was hard for him to like express emotion and to he would miss social cues a lot, obviously. And him being an actor, he was able to pretend to be someone else and kind of like pretend to have what more of a, like social awareness and emotional awareness and all that. So it really made him kind of a great actor because it like kind of like allowed him to be somebody else. So it really like pushed him.
Yeah.
uh but yeah, I mean, he's a great narrator in this movie, and again, I think this is the type of movie that you have to have the narrator, much like Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Uh, the Muppet Christmas Carol is a good example, having Gonzo be the narrator, playing Charles Dickens and being the narrator. So I think the same kind of holds true for this, because it's based on a book, and especially a Dr. Seuss book that has the rhyming scheme. You really want a narrator to move the story forward, and it really works well here. I'd like to
Yes.
also say the songs are actually really good, because obviously they've added more songs for this, because it's they fleshed out the story. So Cindy Lou has a song, and but the classic, the Grinch song, uh is just so much better, done by Jim Carrey. It's hilarious.
Yes,
uh
I love his rendition of it.
he like does all these different like vocal ad libs and crazy runs, and it just it works so well with the song. It really it is the superior version of the Grinch song,
Yes.
by far.
The film
Everyone says,
act the film actually did win an Academy Award for Best Makeup,
oh yeah,
and
I
rightfully
mean,
deserved.
yes, because you got to think, not only the Grinch having like obviously the Grinch, is the main
Was
guy
even
with
up
all
for
the makeup.
this.
All the Who characters also are in makeup, because they have that giant like weird Who nose. So every single Who character except for Cindy Lou is in makeup as well, because they have this like weird prosthetic face nose thing. It almost kind of makes the actors and actresses playing the Who's unrecognizable, because with the weird nose, it makes them look so much different than what they actually look like.
Oh yeah, half the characters I didn't even realize that it was them. Like I didn't know that Molly Shannon was Betty Lou Who.
Yeah, and of course, uh Ron Howard's brother Clint is as the mayor's assistant, which is hilarious.
Oh yeah, the only other nominees for makeup that year was The Cell, which I haven't seen, and Shadow of the Vampire, which we have previously spoken about.
Yeah.
Shadow, which yeah, I mean Shadow of the Vampire was pretty cool,
Yeah, the
but
makeup in this is definitely better.
yeah, there's it's no contest. The
No,
Grinch, if the Grinch didn't win this, people should have rioted,
well,
but it won.
I'm not
So
saying that the Shadow of the Vampire makeup is bad. It's just that the Grinch really, it goes on to like the next level.
yeah,
And again, it adds to the story of it really makes it makes the immersion there. Obviously they could have just done it with like the regular people. Obviously the Grinch would have to be in makeup or a costume, but had all the Who's look normal. But no, they Dr. Seussified the actors, the live action actors, for the movie. And it really just it makes it the best rendition of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I haven't seen the newer one that came out a few years ago with Benedict Cumberbatch playing the Grinch. I
my
But I
nieces and
think that was like
nephews
more
like
of a
it.
what's that?
My nieces and nephews like it, but I think that's also because I mean they're quite young, so I think I think it's because the I mean if you were like between 4 through 7, the Grinch is kind of scary. So
Yeah,
I totally understand why why my in-laws would choose to put on the more recent version that's a little bit more kid friendly looking.
yeah.
Maybe when they're a little bit older, like I don't know, like 8, 9, 10, somewhere around there, they'd be a little bit better to handle the live action Grinch.
Hmm.
So at least now you can, there's some more options. I've heard that that one's fine.
Yeah, I've heard it's okay. I think that's more of like a, not maybe a shot for shot remake, but very much closer to the television special than this one was.
I think so. Fun fact: later on in another animated Doctor Seuss movie, Jim Carrey plays Horton in Horton Hears a Who.
Oh, really?
So
He does?
yes, he's Horton.
Oh, I didn't know that. Isn't the Grinch? I don't. So I don't know. I haven't seen Horton Hears a Who the movie, but I know that in the original book of Horton Hears a Who, the Grinch is in it. He's like a
It's
background character.
I thought it was a bird.
No, the Grinch is in it too. He doesn't have a speaking role. You see him in like one of the one of the houses or something,
Huh. Interesting.
or at least it's a character that looks exactly like the Grinch.
Cool. No, I didn't. I don't think I knew that. I mean, I haven't. When was the last time I read Important Here's a Who?
Yeah,
Single digits for sure, and I can't remember back like that. But they, but the Grinch. Well, at the end of this story, the Grinch does what he does because he's just tired of being humiliated. So he decides to go back to to his original plan and steal Christmas from all the Who's
hmm
as revenge for the mayor's mistreatment of him.
Well, they
And
mistreat him again as the holiday cheermeister,
right, that's what I
you know,
mean.
yeah,
They he of course proposes to Martha May in front of him just to one up him, and then just to put even more salt on the wound, he gives him a razor,
yeah,
and he just completely goes off the reservation and just starts destroying everything,
yep,
which again, totally understandable. Once that's all figured out, he well, Cindy Lou does what she needs to do, and he realizes that he needs to just kind of fix things, but she's climbing up with him, and she almost dies basically when he goes to throw all the gifts off of his sleigh. So he ends up saving her, and that's what makes his heart grow three sizes, and he ends up being, super nice to everybody. But the mayor also gets his comeuppance too, because Martha May reveals that she's always been in love with the Grinch,
yeah,
and she's not really interested in marrying the mayor, and the Grinch ends up getting the girl, and they have the mega happy ending. Now, when they sing the Fahu Dores song at the end, Ron Howard was trying to make sure that the shot matched the book in the best way to it, as close as it could be. So he tried to make sure that all of the angles were right. He tried to make sure that who they were cutting to were similar cuts from the cartoon. So he really wanted to make sure that this thing ended on a huge love letter note.
yeah.
So it was
And
the whole process was just very cool, and just it's impossible to have done this any better.
yeah, it was a hit too when it came out. I saw it in the theaters actually when it came out.
I did too.
Um,
The budget was 123 million, and the box office total ended up being 350.5 million.
yeah, so basically tripled its budget. Uh, and it was it was like critically lauded. I remember like everyone said how great it was. Even though it's only got 50% somehow on Rotten Tomatoes, I don't see how that's
That's
possible
insane.
because yeah, that's just because show Rotten Tomatoes is just stupid.
Is that the critic
Um,
score or the audience score?
that's the critic score.
Oh no, they're assholes. What's the
Yeah,
audience score? That's the real score.
let's see.
If it's not in the 90s, I would be shocked.
Um, on IMDb, IMDb's only got it as a 6.4 rating somehow.
What? Oh, 59. The audience score is 59. What is wrong with these people?
Yeah, what the fuck is wrong with people? This is like, whatever. I don't understand that. That's crazy.
No, not at all. Ugh, but I did one of the things that I noticed more adult jokes, like some of the ones that I said previously, but I noticed more adult jokes this time as I was watching it in my 30s, and it hits on like a Ren and Stimpy level, where as a kid it kind of flew over your head, but as an adult you're like, oh man, wow, that's a good one.
hmm
So they did a lot of they did a lot of great work so that everybody could enjoy this, and that's why it's one of the best Christmas movies of all time.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Um, and hilarious. The jokes are really well written.
Yeah,
It's just
and
it's a good movie.
it is. The only other thing that I think would be interesting to say is, well, actually, one of the ad lib spots was the scene where the Grinch is directing his dog,
Oh
where
yeah.
he's when he's improving, but because he's mimicking Ron Howard's directing style, so he's basically just like riffing on Ron Howard, and Ron Howard loved this, and he just kept it in he kept it in the movie because it was just so funny.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was going to say was the oh no, what was that? Jim Carrey has recently said that he would be open to possibly reprising the Grinch at some point, only because they would be able to do more motion capture stuff, so
Yeah.
that way he wouldn't be able to that way he wouldn't need that way he wouldn't need to have all of the difficult time within the makeup chair, so he'd be a lot more flexible. So I don't know, maybe if you hired a video game developer to just kind of to just kind of build out the world, I think you could get something really good, like a talented team like Santa Monica Studios, who does the God of War games or something like that. I think you'd be able to have something really cool if you did it now,
Yeah.
or if you did a sequel. So
Yeah.
I think some places would be able to do it right. But very interesting from, now 25 years removed from the movie, that Jim Carrey, who once had such a difficulty just having to show up every day because of like, what he was going to go through to get the suit on, to now where he's like, oh, there's now better ways to do it where I think I'd have a good time.
Yeah. I could see that.
Yeah, but I think the only other thing that I really wanted to point out is there was a spin-off video game done for the PlayStation 1, which is terrible.
Oh, as are most movie tie-in games, unfortunately. So
Yes,
that
but
doesn't
this is
surprise me.
it's extremely hard, and it also was just not really tested enough. There's things in there that have nothing to do with the video game. I mean, that have nothing to do with the movie. Like, you die to mosquitoes,
What the fuck?
but if you put on the Grinch's Who costume disguise, the mosquitoes don't touch him. You also have to be super precise with your jumps because the camera angle screws everything up. So you will die a lot, especially if you're in the dump where everything has landmines on it. Because you remember that part in the movie? Me neither. And whoever the actor is of the Grinch is just awful. It's not even close to Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Everything is delivered quite badly.
Well, that's too
Like
bad.
you could tell that you could tell that the game was a rush job.
Well, most of them are.
Most are, but
Yeah.
this one they really just threw things in there. Like, you have to murder Santa basically in
The
the game.
problem the problem with like with video game tie-ins is that they always want to try to release the video game within like the time that the movie's going to be out in theaters, and you can't. It takes longer to make a video game than it does to make a movie. The only time that they're actually halfway decent is when they're not on that timetable of like, oh shit, we have to get it out before the movie comes out. Like GoldenEye is a really good example. It's one of the best video games of all time, and it was a movie tie-in game, but they didn't have to rush it out to like because GoldenEye had already been out. You know, they were just making a game based off of it. They weren't trying to rush it in to like tie it in with the release of the movie. So that's
Right, and that ended up
unfortunately
and that's one
what
of the
happened.
best video games of all time.
Exactly.
Definitely a top 3 for the Nintendo 64 console.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think I have much else to say about this. This was
No.
the Grinch, despite what Rotten Tomatoes people might tell you, it's a masterpiece
Yeah.
and is one of the best Christmas movies you'll ever see.
It only got a bad rap because most critics are cynical assholes.
Exactly. Alrighty. I guess we can ride off into the sunset, but this has been Why Does This Exist? We want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in and just listening to us shoot the shit all year. It's really cool that you do that, and we really appreciate it. And
Yeah.
we'll have more episodes as long as you'll keep having us. And if you won't keep having us, we'll just make more episodes anyway. We don't
Just
care.
to piss you off.
Yeah, it's fun. Um, so I do want to say happy holidays, everybody. I thank you for all the support and everything you do, and it's been a great time. Let me try to find the Simpsons quote.
Oh.
Here we go. Krusty, here we go. Okay, and this ends Krusty's non-denominational holiday fun fest. So have a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, a crazy Kwanzaa, a tip-top Tet, and a solemn, dignified Ramadan.
I
And
remember
of
that.
course, a very happy New Year if we don't do any more in December. But you folks have a very lovely time, and we will see you next year. This has been Why Does This Exist? I've been Chris,
And I've been Rob.
and remember, question everything.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and Happy Kwanzaa and Merry Hanukkah and Happy everything else. And Happy Festivus for the rest of us. Most importantly.
Here, here.